So before we move to the cart, so I have fixed this problem, so we don't have the broken images anymore. So now I am so I have changed here inside products factory to the number only to 0 to 20. Okay, so instead of using 100, and I have rerun the commands again. Okay, so you can do the same thing if you don't want to see broken images here. So now let's move to our cart. So let's first move to the cart controller. So here inside cart controller we have this function, or we have the controller, so we need the first function. So before we add the first function, we need to define a variable that will hold the cart. So this one will be private and it will be an array. So next we need the constructor. So once we call this controller, so we need to do something. So let's use here the constructor, and here we need to use the cart that we have defined, and we give it session, so we can get the session cart from the session that we will add later. And if we don't have session card, so we will give it only an empty array. Okay, so now we need the first function. So this one will only get the cart items from the session. So let's add here public function index, and inside this we need to define a cart, and the cart we can get it using this cart, which is the property that we have defined here. And next what we need to do, so we need to return the view that we will create later, which is the cart, and we give it the cart. Okay, so to display the cart items, compact cart. So this is the first function. So next we need to add the items to our cart. Okay, so add the items to the cart. So here let's add the function, public function, and call it add to cart. And this function will receive the request that has the product ID. Okay, so first we need to find the product that the user wants to add to the cart. Find product by ID. So here let's define the product and use the product model to find the product using the ID that we can get using the request. Okay, so here product ID. So once we have the product, so we need to check if the product is already inside our cart. Check if the product already in the cart. So let's import the model. So to do that, so we will use the product's ID. So let's see, or let's add this. So we will use if is set, and we use the cart, which is the array, and we give it the index, or the k, which is the product. So the k, which is the product's ID. So if the k exists, which means that the product's already inside our cart. If not, so we will do something else. So if it exists, we will return back so with a message of info, and we tell the user that product already in your cart. Okay, so now if, or let's add here products already added to your cart. If not, if the product doesn't exist, what we will do, so we can now add it to our cart, and we use the cart and we give it the k which is the product ID, and we add the details. So we have here on the right, so we have the name of the product. Before we add name, let's add first ID because we will need the ID. Okay, so here we have the ID, and next we can add other fields. So we have name. Let's change this from ID to name, and we have also what else? We have the price, and we have also the quantity, and quantity here will be 1. Okay, so by default it will be 1. So here we have the image, and that's all. Now we have added the product, so all we need to do now is to set the session. And to set the session, we can use session and call the method, which is put. Where is it? So put, and we give it the card as the key, and the value is the card that we have created. Okay. And what else we need? So we need to calculate the total of cart items. Okay, and to do that we will add another function that will do that. So let's call it calculate cart items total. So we will add this function, and finally what we need to do, we need to send or to return user with a message telling him that product added to your cart. So here let's change it to success message. Okay, return the user with the message, or directs the user with the message. So now we need to add this function that will calculate the total. Okay, so here public function, or let's make it private since we will use it only inside this controller. So this function, what we'll do, it will calculate the total, and to calculate the total, so let's define here a total variable, and here we can use collect, and collect takes the cart, and now we have a collection, so we can use sum method to get sum, and we can use or we can loop through each item, and we calculate the item price multiplied by the item quantity. Okay, so now we have the total. Okay, so we used collect to create the collection, and we call the sum method, and here we use the arrow function to loop through each item, which is each product, and we calculate the price multiplied by the quantity. And now that we have the total, so all we need to do is to set the session. So we need another thing, which is the cart total. So to display the cart total, or the cart items total, so let's change it to items total. So to display the cart items total, so we need to add it to the session, and we give it the total. Okay, so now we have all the functions. So we will add, update, and remove and clear functions, but once we reach that. Okay, so now, as I said, we define the variable, we have the constructor. Every time we call this controller, so we will set the cart item or the cart to the cart that we have. If it's not available, so we'll give it an empty array. So here we get the cart items from the session, and we send everything to the view that we will create later. Here we have add to cart. We check if product exists. If yes, using the key, which is the product ID. If yes, we return a message. If no, we create or we add product to our cart using the key, which is the ID. and we set the session, and we calculate the total, so we can display the total, and also we return a message, and here we calculate the total or the cart items total. So next, what we need to do, so we need to add to our cart. Once I click here, so we need to add product to our cart. So let's do that now.